Am I the idiot for refusing to babysit my sister's 3 kids for a week after my parents ditched my college graduation for a cruise? Throwaway because my sister follows my main account and I'm honestly just so done with my family right now. I, female, 22, just graduated college last month with a finance degree and a 3.8 GPA. I'm the first person in my family to graduate college, which was a huge deal to me. Not to them, apparently. Lol. I worked 3 jobs through college: barista at a campus coffee shop, library assistant on weekends, and math tutor whenever I could fit it in. Basically surviving on energy drinks and pure stubbornness for 4 years. So my parents, Fred and Angie, both late 40s, have always been, well, let's just say they've never really put me first, or second, or even third sometimes. I could write a literal book about all the times they've blown me off for something they wanted to do instead. Like when they skipped my high school academic award ceremony. I was getting honored for highest GPA in my class because they had dinner plans with friends that were too difficult to reschedule. I remember sitting there watching everyone else's parents take pictures and feeling like such an idiot. My older sister Tara, female, 27, is basically the female version of my dad at this point. She has 3 kids, 6, 4, and 2, who are actually super sweet, but she acts like the world owes her everything because she's a mom. Don't get me wrong, I love my nieces and nephew, but Tara treats me like I'm her personal on-call babysitter with zero respect for my time. Oh, random side note, but sorta relevant to show how alone I've been. I adopted my cat Professor from the shelter where I volunteered during senior year. He's literally been more reliable than my entire family put together, lol. He at least greets me when I come home instead of asking for money. Anyway, about graduation. I had been planning this for months. I specifically asked my parents 3 months in advance if they would come. I even went to their house and physically marked the date on their kitchen calendar, May 14th, circled in red with Sarah's graduation written in all caps. They said, "Of course we'll be there," and made this whole thing about how proud they were of me. Then, 2 weeks before graduation, I get a call from my mom, all excited saying they just booked this amazing cruise deal to the Bahamas. I was happy for them until she mentioned the dates, May 12th and 19th. Like, are you kidding me? When I confronted them about booking a cruise during my graduation, my dad said they thought I wouldn't mind since it was just a ceremony. I reminded them I was the first person in our family to graduate college and how hard I'd worked for it. My mom said they'd be there in spirit and would take lots of pictures of the cruise to show me. My dad claimed they couldn't get a refund, and my mom actually suggested I reschedule my graduation. When I explained that's not how graduations work, my dad just said they'd make it up to me somehow. I hung up before I started crying. So graduation day comes, and the only people there for me were my roommate Aaron and a couple friends. I tried to act like I wasn't completely devastated while watching all these other families taking pictures and celebrating together. Meanwhile, my parents were literally posting cruise photos on Facebook during my actual graduation ceremony with captions like, "Living our best life" and "Paradise found." I know I shouldn't care what they think of me anymore. I mean, I've basically been on my own since I was 18 anyway, but it still hurts so much. Here's where the current drama starts. They got back from their cruise 3 days ago, and yesterday, my sister Tara calls me freaking out, saying she needs me to watch her 3 kids for the entire week starting tomorrow because she needs a break and has planned a trip with friends. I told her I couldn't because I have 3 job interviews scheduled this week that I've been preparing for like crazy. Plus, I'm apartment hunting since my lease ends soon. She immediately called our parents, who then called me. My mom accused me of being selfish when my sister needed help. I explained about my job interviews and reminded them they'd just missed my graduation for a vacation. My dad claimed that was different and a one-time thing. I pointed out they'd never been there for me, missing my high school awards, not helping when I broke my arm, and more. My mom accused me of thinking I was too good for the family since college. When I again explained I couldn't reschedule my interviews, my dad said family should come before career. I asked why Tara couldn't reschedule instead, and my mom said she deserved a break because she's a mother. When I asked if my time was less valuable because I don't have kids, my dad went quiet. I thought he might be considering my side, but but then he just threatened that the whole family would hear about how I've changed and think I'm too good for them now. I honestly don't know if I'm being unreasonable here. Like, am I wrong for not wanting to drop everything in my life to provide free childcare? Am I the idiot? Edit. Since so many are asking, no, my parents can't watch the kids because they just got back from vacation and need to rest. I wish I was making this up. To clarify about my sister's husband, Glenn works full-time and apparently can't take time off to watch his own kids while Tara goes on this trip. Convenient how his job is important, but mine isn't even real yet, according to my family. Thanks for all the support. A lot of you are asking if this is a pattern with my family. Yes, when I was 16, they forgot to pick me up after a school event, and I had to walk 4 miles home in the rain because they decided to go to a movie last minute. But somehow, I'm the selfish one in the family. Now for the first update. First, I did get through all my job interviews. I'm actually moving to the second round with the financial consulting firm, which was stressful enough. But then the real problems started. About a week after I refused to babysit, I started getting these weird calls and texts from my extended family. My grandma Bonnie called me crying, saying she was disappointed in the person I've become and that family should always be there in a crisis. I was super confused because, what crisis? Turns out my parents told everyone in our family that I refused to help during a family emergency, where apparently Glenn, my sister's husband, had some kind of medical situation and Tara desperately needed support. They said I basically told her to deal with it herself because I was too busy with unimportant stuff. I mean, what? I had no idea what they were talking about. Like, genuinely thought I was going crazy for a minute. My aunt left me a voicemail saying she always thought I was sweet and couldn't believe I'd abandoned my sister when her husband was in the hospital. Another cousin texted that I should be ashamed of myself. My grandpa, who I've always been close with, sounded so cold when he called. It felt completely unreal. I tried to explain that there was no medical emergency, just Tara wanting to go to a concert with friends, but everyone acted like I was making excuses. My Aunt Kelly said I shouldn't make things worse by lying about it. I was honestly speechless. Meanwhile, I was trying to focus on my second interview, which was already making me super anxious. I get really bad interview anxiety and like practice answers for hours beforehand. But now I had this family stuff piled on top, and I literally couldn't sleep for like 3 days straight. Then my cousin Caitlin, who's always been cool, called and mentioned how sad it was that I wouldn't help Tara when she needed to get away for her mental health to see some concert 3 states away with her friends. I asked what concert, and Caitlin was confused because Tara told her that's what the whole thing was about. No medical emergency, just a concert that Tara wanted to go to. So basically, my parents and sister made up a completely fake emergency to try to manipulate everyone against me. Cool. I tried calling my parents, but they ignored me. Tara texted that I didn't need to know the details and that moms deserve breaks sometimes, which yes, they do, but not by lying about medical emergencies. Then came my grandpa Arthur's birthday gathering last weekend. I almost didn't go because I was so upset, but he's always been there for me, and I didn't want to miss his 70th. Big mistake. As soon as I walked in, everyone was staring at me. My Aunt Taylor cornered me by the dessert table and asked how I could be so heartless to my own sister. When I asked what she meant, she said the whole family knew I abandoned Tara during a crisis. I tried explaining about my job interviews and how important they were for my future, but she cut me off, saying jobs come and go, but family is forever. Rich, coming from people who never supported my education. I tried telling her there was no actual emergency, but she accused me of minimizing the situation, and my cousin Marcus joined in against me. I felt so ganged up on I had to go outside just to breathe. I was shaking and trying not to cry. It's like they decided I was the villain and nothing I could say would change their minds. My Uncle Wade, my dad's brother, followed me outside. I expected another lecture, but he actually asked for my side of the story because something didn't add up to him. I showed him the actual texts from Tara about the concert trip and from my parents about my graduation. I showed him the 3 job interviews I had scheduled that I literally couldn't miss. He was quiet for a long time and then told me this wasn't the first time Fred and Angie have twisted the truth to get what they want. When I got home that night, my roommate Aaron told me she's actually been keeping a folder of all the messed up stuff my parents have done over the years. She has screenshots of their cruise posts during my graduation ceremony, photos of me working multiple jobs while in school, texts where they bailed on me for various things, basically a whole evidence file. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry that my roommate saw how bad it was before I did. I was still processing all this when 2 days later, Tara showed up at my apartment unannounced with all 3 kids and actual suitcases. I was on a work call for my new potential job and had to excuse myself because she was pounding on the door. I opened it and she announced she was dropping the kids off for the week, like we had agreed to this. I told her I never agreed to babysit, and she said my parents told her I would do it. Right there, with the kids watching, I called my parents on speaker. My dad answered, and when I asked if he told Tara I would watch the kids, he said he thought I would come around. When I reminded him again about my job interviews, he just sighed like I was being dramatic. My mom got on and started her family comes first speech again. Tara was standing there complaining that she never gets a break, and I asked why our parents couldn't watch the kids if it was so important. That's when Tara accidentally let it slip. They couldn't because they already paid for her concert tickets and hotel, and it was non-refundable. My parents paid for her trip, but couldn't even show up to my graduation. I lost it. I pointed out how hypocritical it was that they could pay for Tara's concert trip, but claimed they couldn't help with my tuition. My dad hung up on me. Tara left with the kids, who were crying and confused, which made me feel awful, but what was I supposed to do? Then my grandma called saying she heard I made Tara's children cry and asked what kind of aunt does that. That's when I found out my parents had escalated their lies even more, now telling people I refused to help with a life-threatening situation. I can't anymore. I've spent my whole life trying to please these people, and they just keep changing what they expect from me. Aaron suggested I compile everything into an email for the extended family. Texts, screenshots, social media posts, a timeline showing the pattern. Just lay out the whole truth so at least everyone has the facts. I spent all yesterday putting it together, but I'm scared to send it. This could permanently damage my relationship with my parents, though honestly, what relationship at this point? But I also can't keep having my reputation destroyed by their lies. I think I'm gonna send it. I don't know what else to do. Edit. Thank you all so much for the support. Some people are asking if I've always been the family scapegoat, and yeah, pretty much. It's been a pattern since I was a kid. One time, I got a serious ear infection, and my mom didn't want to miss her book club, so I sat in pain for 3 more days until my teacher noticed something was wrong. But somehow, I'm the selfish one. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking about my sister's husband, Glenn, and if he knows about the fake medical emergency. Honestly, I'm not sure. He works a lot, and Tara usually handles all the family communication. I wouldn't be surprised if my parents told him a different story too. To answer everyone asking if I sent the email yet, not yet. I'm gonna sleep on it one more night and then probably send it tomorrow. I'm scared, but I also feel like I don't have any other options at this point. My parents are now telling people I'm having mental health issues and making things up. For those asking about what's in the evidence email, it's pretty extensive. I have the original text confirming they knew my graduation date, with their "of course we'll be there" response, screenshots of their cruise posts time-stamped during my ceremony, the texts from Tara about the concert, no mention of any medical emergency, proof of my scheduled interviews, and a bunch of other examples of this pattern going back years. I also wrote out a timeline so everyone can see exactly what happened when. I'm trying to stick to just facts without too much emotion, but it's hard when I'm still so hurt by everything. Now for the second update. First off, the initial reaction from my extended family was basically shock and disbelief. Like, my phone literally wouldn't stop buzzing for 2 days straight after I sent it. My cousin Caitlin called me crying and apologizing for believing the lies. Then my Aunt Taylor texted saying she felt horrible for cornering me at Grandpa's birthday. Uncle Wade called and talked to me for like an hour, just letting me vent. But the most surprising reaction came from my grandparents. I was honestly terrified they'd be mad at me for causing drama. That's what my mom always called it whenever I brought up anything they did. But they were horrified, especially about the missed graduation. Turns out education is like a huge deal to them, something my parents apparently never told me. My grandpa Arthur worked 2 jobs to put himself through night school decades ago. He was the first in his generation to get any kind of degree, which explains why he was so proud when I graduated. He called me, and I could hear him trying not to cry on the phone, which made me start crying. Ugh, I'm getting emotional again just writing this. Anyway, back to the email fallout. The weirdest part has been hearing from relatives who apparently have their own stories about my parents being manipulative. Like my Aunt Kelly called to tell me that my parents borrowed $5 from her for emergency medical bills, but then posted pics of their Cancun vacation the next month. And Uncle Wade revealed he'd loaned them money multiple times that they never repaid while they were taking luxury vacations. Apparently, this has been going on for years, and nobody ever compared notes until now. So about 5 days after the email, my dad texted asking to talk things through, and I honestly thought maybe he was going to apologize. I know, I'm an idiot. We met at this coffee shop near my new place, and he spent the entire time trying to get me to tell everyone I exaggerated everything in the email. He kept saying stuff like, "You're destroying this family," and "Your mother can't sleep because of what you've done." When I pointed out that they were the ones who lied about a medical emergency, he literally said, "We only did that because you were being difficult about babysitting." And look, I'm completely over them missing my graduation. That's ancient history now. But also, every time I see someone else's graduation photos with their proud parents, I feel really sad and sometimes cry in the shower. But whatever, I'm fine. Things kept escalating with smaller confrontations. My mom showed up at my new job. Yes, I got the financial consulting position. And made a scene in the reception area saying I needed to fix things with the family. My new boss was surprisingly cool about it. She apparently has her own family issues, but I was mortified. My mom kept saying I was tearing the family apart, and basically making it sound like I was the one who lied about everything. I've been slowly getting settled in my new apartment, which is tiny, but it's mine, and nobody can tell me what to do here. I've been decorating it with secondhand furniture, thanks YouTube tutorials lol. It feels really good to have my own space finally. My parents got increasingly desperate to get me to recant. They sent our family pastor to my apartment. How did they even get my new address? Then they had some distant cousin I've met like twice call me to say I was being unfair to my poor parents. My dad's sister, who lives in Florida, suddenly reached out saying, "There are 2 sides to every story," despite not being involved at all. Then came the big family meeting at my grandparents' house last weekend. My grandpa Arthur called it, and honestly, I almost didn't go because I was so nervous. So here's basically how it went down. Grandpa Arthur called the meeting to order in his living room. Everyone was sitting around looking super uncomfortable. My cousin Caitlin squeezed my hand when I sat down. My parents showed up like 20 minutes late. They always do this, making this whole dramatic entrance like they were celebrities or something. Grandma Bonnie, who is usually super quiet, told everyone they were there to discuss how I've been treated by the family. My mom immediately rolled her eyes, which did not go over well. My dad jumped in, claiming I was exaggerating everything for attention and that I've always been sensitive. Uncle Wade pulled out printed copies of their crew's social media posts that were time-stamped during my graduation ceremony. He literally made a presentation board with the posts and timestamps. I almost laughed, but was too shocked. My mom tried saying they never knew the exact graduation date, so I just silently passed my phone around, showing the text where they acknowledged the date 3 months in advance and said they would be there. Then my sister Tara spoke up. She admitted there was never any medical emergency with Glenn. She looked at the floor the whole time, but admitted she just wanted to go to the concert, and my parents said they'd help make it happen. I literally couldn't believe what I was hearing. My dad tried changing the subject to how I abandoned my nieces and nephews, but then cousin Caitlin pointed out that I had 3 job interviews I couldn't reschedule and asked why my parents couldn't watch the kids if it was so important. My mom claimed they've always supported me financially, so I pulled out 4 years of bank statements showing they contributed a total of $430 over my entire college career. Everyone got really quiet after that. My dad started getting really angry, saying I was turning the family against them. That's when Grandpa Arthur revealed he had been planning to help me pay off my student loans as a graduation gift. But since my parents didn't even support my education enough to show up, he was redirecting that money. I had no idea about this and just sat there shocked. My mom burst into tears, calling everyone ungrateful. My dad stood up and demanded everyone choose sides right now. The entire room stayed silent, which was basically everyone choosing me, I guess. Then they stormed out and slammed the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. The aftermath has been complicated. My parents have called me like 50 times demanding I fix this situation and tell everyone it was all a misunderstanding. I finally answered once and told them I would only consider having a relationship with them if they acknowledged what they did and apologized. My dad hung up on me. Tara reached out separately. She was angry at first, saying I made her look bad, but after talking to our cousins and Aunt Kelly, she's starting to see the pattern too. She texted me yesterday saying she's starting therapy, which is honestly a huge step for her. It's been about a month since the big confrontation, and things have settled into a weird new normal. I have basically no contact with my parents. They've been excluded from several family events after refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. Tara has been reaching out more, though it's awkward. She asked if I wanted to have coffee next week to talk, so we'll see how that goes. I've been focusing on my new job, which I love, and getting my apartment together. I've been spending more time with my extended family, especially my grandparents, and it feels like I'm developing healthier relationships with them. I'm still processing everything. On one hand, I feel validated that everyone finally sees what I've been dealing with my whole life. On the other hand, it's really sad that it took this level of confrontation just to be respected and believed. I still sometimes wonder if my parents will ever change or if I'll have a relationship with them again. Part of me doesn't even want one at this point. Glenn, Tara's husband, is apparently super angry about all the family problems and blamed me at first, which makes things more complicated with Tara. And sometimes, I still question if sending that email was the right thing, even though it led to a lot of positive changes. Anyway, that's where things stand now. Sorry for the novel-length post. I'm still figuring out what comes next. Edit. Thanks for all the kind words and support, you guys. A lot of people are asking if I feel guilty about the fallout. Honestly, sometimes yes, but then I remind myself I didn't create the situation. I just exposed it. My parents' actions are what caused this, not my email. Edit 2. Someone asked about my sister's kids. They're doing okay as far as I know. I did see them at a family dinner last week and they seemed fine, if confused about why Grandma and Grandpa weren't there. I still love them and want to be in their lives, just not as the default babysitter. For everyone asking about the job, it's at a smaller financial consulting firm that works with nonprofits. The pay isn't amazing, but the experience is exactly what I wanted. And my boss has been incredibly understanding about all the family drama, which I'm so grateful for. Several people have DM'd asking if my parents have always been narcissists or if this is new behavior. Looking back, and after a few therapy sessions, this has been their pattern my whole life. I just normalized it because that's what kids do. When I was 10, they forgot my birthday because they decided last minute to go to a concert. When I reminded them the next day, my mom said, "Well, we're here now, aren't we?" Like that was supposed to make it better somehow. To the people saying I should completely cut off my parents forever, I'm taking it one day at a time. Right now I need space, but I don't know what the future holds. And yes, I changed all my passwords, got a new bank account they don't know about, and made sure they don't have keys to my new place. Lessons learned from reading this sub for years, lol.